Hello, welcome back to the channel. So, Hoyo has finally announced in a recent Hoyo post that they are looking to buff older characters slash make older characters more viable, which I do think is great. I mean, just objectively, that is a good thing that's happening. However, I do have some concerns on how they will do it. I doubt this will happen, like next patch or even the patch after that, and also because Hoyo never go back and actually directly change characters' kits. They never change numbers or anything like that. They always buff them indirectly, whether it's with characters or other new sets or whatever. Now, I see a couple of paths that Hoyo could take with this. One is buffing old characters with new characters, which I do feel is probably the worst option for a couple of reasons. One, it could make the new character just way too niche, and just most people just won't want to pull for them. Two, as an example, if they make a character that buffs someone like Sealy, you will basically have to pull for that new character if you want to use Sealy, which does just kind of feel bad, Also, how many people, are gonna pull for a character that just buffs an old one when you could just pull for a new character who's probably just gonna be better, Another option, which I do think is kind of better, but also I think is sort of more like a band-aid rather than anything, is buffing characters through new equipment, relics, light cones, that sort of thing. I see this as potentially sort of the most likely, since it's way easier to make new equipment than, to make a whole new character, and it's also easier to make a lot more of them. Now, the main problem with this is that this is more so like a band-aid of the problem, and doesn't actually, fix the actual problem, since in a patch or two, the characters that are buffed will probably just not be relevant again anyway. And it doesn't address the actual problem, which is that the characters' kits are just outdated. And the last option, which is probably not going to happen, but is probably the best option, is actually just directly buffing characters' kits. Because that is the only way to solve the core of the problem, which is that a lot of the older characters are just outdated. They just can't compete with a lot of newer characters. That's just the problem. Now, one other thing that I could see Hoyo doing is bring down the power level of the end game so that the older characters have an easier time with it, and also making the buffs wider ranging, since a lot of the time what characters are good is really dependent on what buffs are available, and maybe making the enemies not have as much health as they're getting right now. I could see them changing something with the end game, maybe not that exactly, but at the same time, I feel then people would also complain that it might end up being too easy then, so I feel like there isn't really any winning there, So at the end of the day, I am kind of skeptically optimistic, since I think buffing older characters is good. I'm just not sure if Hoyo will actually do it in a good way, you know what I mean? So I think that if you're gonna buff characters, it should also be easily accessible, You shouldn't be locked behind a 5-star or something if you want to use an old character. Because also, new players aren't going to know that, If they're pulling for someone like Celia, they're not going to know that you need a new character if you want them to actually be usable, But anyway, mostly one other solution that I did say in my previous video about alternate forms is giving older characters alternate forms to kind of, buff them up a bit and give them whole new kits. Which could, be a good way to kind of get a middle ground of, changing their kits while also, not directly changing them, since for some reason Hoyo doesn't seem to like directly changing them. Anyway, what do you guys think about these buffs? Let me know in the comments below, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.